everyone, I hope you guys are all well. So welcome to day 2 of the free foraging week, where today we're talking about the famed Vitality Tonic, which is, just such a brilliant remedy. It's great all year, but it's particularly good right now, this time of the year. So we're going to talk about what the Vitality Tonic is, why it's so important, what it does, how to make it, and how to use it. We're going to do a brief live practical on how to make it. Super easy, super simple, and it uses herbs that you can go out and probably within a couple of 100 meters of where you live, you'll be able to find. They are just exploding right now in the hedgerows and woods and fields around us. So what is the Vitality Tonic, and why are we using it? So it's really important at this time of the year. If you think about the mammalian body, all of the mammals on the planet, including us, the body naturally moves into a more powerful phase of detoxification during springtime. And there's a very clear rationale for that. If you think about winter in the northern hemisphere anyway, it's darker, it's colder, and if you think about the way we behave, most humans, in the northern hemisphere, when it gets colder and darker, we're indoors more often, we eat stodgier food, we eat heavier food, and it kind of leads to this sludge. It kind of leads to a sense of heaviness. It can lead to a sense of lethargy. It can lead to a little bit of weight gain, a bit of water retention, and just a general reduction in vitality. And in the same way that we aim to, spring clean the house, if you think about where does the idea of a spring clean come from? It's doing away with all of the accumulated dirt of winter indoors, etc., and preparing for the move into spring and summer. And our body does the same thing, a very clear transition from winter to spring in terms of increasing that lightness in the body, that energy in the body, detoxifying the body, and just really ramping up our levels of energy and vitality. And the body naturally does that. It will do that naturally. But what we can do is we can accelerate that process, we can support that process, and through doing so, really increase the levels of vitality, energy that we're experiencing in the physical body, our get up and go. And that's what the Vitality Tonic is designed exclusively to do. And the reason it does it so well is because of the impact it has upon the lymphatic system and the body's detoxification pathways. And the lymphatic system, if you think about it from an Ayurvedic perspective, the lymphatic system in Ayurveda is the holy grail really of health. Making sure the lymphatic system is working well is just the foundation of health and vitality and disease prevention. But that's also true in Western medicine, Western physiology, because the lymphatic system has such an important role to play in keeping our body fit and healthy. What does it do? The lymphatic system is this network of vessels in the body made up of lymphatic tissues and lymphatic fluid that helps to clean the body. It helps to remove toxins, it helps to remove congestion, it helps to make sure that the immune system is working well, it removes water retention, it helps facilitate weight loss. It just keeps the body clean. It keeps the body clean of debris, of old cells, dead cells, cancerous cells, bacteria, viruses, toxins, particularly environmental toxins. All of the toxins we get from the food we eat, the air we breathe, the water we drink. We ingest so many toxins, and all of those toxins conspire to drag down the collective vitality of the body. Particularly true, like I said, at this time of the year, where most people's lymphatic system is a little bit sluggish. There's very clear evidence that in February, March, even into April, our lymphatic system is more congested, it's heavier, it doesn't work as well. So by upping the functionality, by upping the effectiveness of our lymphatic system, we clear toxins out of the body, we clear excess waste, we clear water retention, we just get the body moving at a faster rate, we clear out all of the debris and replace it with this kind of energy and vitality. And that's what the whole aim of this Vitality Tonic is all about, is helping that transition from winter, darkness, sludge, lethargy inside to kind of outside energy, vitality, get up and go, sunlight, etc., etc. And you know, I would never be without this vitality tonic. I'll show you what the finished product looked like. So this is one of our bottles from May last year. So always label your bottles so you know when you've made them. And I'll show you what it looks like once I've made it, once I've gone through a practical. But we use that a lot at this time of the year. We use it any time of the year. If we're feeling a bit sluggish, if we're feeling a bit lethargic, if we're feeling just like our body needs a bit of a kickstart, a bit of oomph, we will use that, you know, spring, summer, autumn or winter. It doesn't really matter, but we always use it. We've used it for probably the last 15 years, I would say, at this time of the year, just to really help speed up that process, particularly because these herbs are obviously coming into season right now. So what makes this tonic so effective? Well, obviously what makes them so effective is the herbs that we use to produce it. And there's one herb that must go into it. There's a few, I guess, supporting herbs, but the herb that has to go into it is the revered cleavers, which some of you may know as sticky weed, because you know, if you throw it on you, it sticks to you. I'm sure everyone's had a go of throwing it onto someone's back and watching them walk around all day without it falling off, but it sticks to anything. Because it's got these tiny little hairs on the leaves which act like little barbs, little hooks, which is why it's called sticky weed. But cleavers, not just in European or British herbal medicine, but in global herbal medicine, is the most revered, the most powerful, the most important lymphatic tonic herb in existence, without exception. It is the clinical research, the evidence, the use of cleavers to support lymphatic function is just unparalleled. Okay, so it's brilliant any time of the year. If you've got, if your lymph glands are up after an infection, if you've got lots of congestion, if you're coming off the back of an infection, any kind of blockage in the lymphatic system, cleavers is brilliant. But as a detoxifying agent, helping the body to rid toxins out, helping to mobilize the lymphatic function. Essentially, it's the Hoover. What a Hoover is to spring cleaning the house, cleavers is to spring cleaning the body. Okay, and it's really key because in more energetic herbal medicine, herbs come into season at the time that we need them. And these come into season now up until midsummer, and they start dying off and they become too tough. And that's because we need them now. And once it gets to midsummer and they've all gone, they're not going to be back again until next year, and they don't dry well. You can't really dry cleavers. So this is a brilliant way of preserving it for 12 months of the year. So if you need it in the middle of winter, you've got it, because you can't buy it. You can't buy dried cleavers, they're not very good. So we're dependent upon ourselves. I said, so cleavers is always the lion's share of what makes up the Vitality Tonic. The other herb that supports it that we're going to use today is nettles, the good old stinging nettles. Why? Two reasons. One, because nettles is a liver tonic herb, okay? And the liver is integral for the same reason. The liver is the body's main organ of detoxification. If we want to clear this sludge out, if we want to increase the energy of the body, if we want to revitalize the body, if we kind of give the body a real spring clean, nettles is a fantastic way of facilitating that. These are herbs that we use in our clinic, day in, day out. They've got so many benefits. And also the other reason is that the nutrient profile, if you look at nettles, if you take nettles into a lab and you analyze nettle leaves and also roots to a degree, they're kind of nature's all-in-one multivitamin. The vitamin and mineral profile of nettles is probably on top of the podium, I suppose, in terms of any given green vegetable or any vegetable. Vitamin A, all your vitamin C, all your potassiums, your irons, your zincs, your magnesiums, vitamin Bs, all of it's kind of like back in about 150 years ago when we were all eating preserved meats and preserved foods in winter. Rural communities couldn't wait for nettles to come out, because it suddenly meant they could just saturate their body with all of these vitamins and minerals that they were lacking all through winter. and it was heralded as this, such an integral part of the year, and you're loaded with iron. That obviously is integral to upping our energy levels. So I think we should be using nettle in a culinary form, all through the year. We'll give you guys, and we've got a brilliant Himalayan nettle curry, because nettles grow all around the world. They grow in the Himalayas, the foothills of the Himalayas, and there's a very famous Ayurvedic recipe called Himalayan nettle curry, and we'll send you guys, if you signed up for this free week, you'll get a PDF of that. You'll get all this information in written instruction, everything we're talking about today, all the instructions, the herb profiles you'll get as a PDF download in your email if you've signed up to this free week. So we should all be using nettles. Nettle smoothies, nettle tea, nettle curries, nettle soups, tonics, we drying it. We should just, it's like saying if you could go out into the hedgerows and there was just masses of kale or masses of broccoli growing there, everyone would be out there foraging it in their bagfuls. And then there's a plant, there's a herb that's there in abundance that people don't make enough use of it. The vitamin and mineral profile of nettles is just unsurpassed. Okay, so we need to be making use of it. So individually, you've got cleavers and you've got nettles. They're going to work incredibly effectively on their own. But if you combine them together, you get what is called herbal synergy, which is where the whole of both parts is greater than the sum of the individual parts. Okay, so you've got this synergistic game where the whole is greater than the individual components, and by combining cleavers with nettles, you get this whole body revitalizing, re-energizing tonic that is discernible. Like I can feel the difference. We've been using this, probably for about 4 weeks, I would say. We usually start late February, early March, and you can feel it. You can feel the lightness creeping into the body. You wake up with a little bit more zing. You have a little bit more oomph. It's discernible. And we've used this in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over the years, and the feedback is pretty much unanimous that everyone feels the same on it. It's like, please, 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 please make it. It's super simple. If you've got the alcohol, you could make this in an hour. If you could go out, you can go out, find the herbs, bring the herbs back, wash and prepare and make it, and it'll be done in less than probably half an hour. It's super simple. Okay, so how do you make it? So you can add other herbs. The other two herbs that you could add to this are dandelion and rosemary, because they're all working on the similar mechanisms. Dandelion, great for liver function, great for detoxification, rosemary likewise. Today I'm just going to use nettle and cleavers, okay? But what is key is that the cleavers needs to always be the lion's share by volume. So if you're using two herbs, I would make it 2/3 cleavers, 1/3 nettle. Or to make it simple, 2 handfuls of cleavers to 1 handful of nettle. So all you need is a sterilised, airtight kilner jar or a big jam jar, anything with an airtight lid. You need some roughly 40% alcohol, either brandy, cognac, or vodka. Okay, some of them are 37.5. That's going to be fine. Some of them are 41. As long as it's between 37.5 and 41, that's fine. Usually, that one is actually made of brandy. Usually we use brandy because I think it gives it a slightly nicer, taste. But we didn't have any in. We only have vodka. We buy loads of vodka because we make loads of tinctures and stuff. So we're going to use vodka today. Sterilised jar, a mortar and pestle. So all you need to do is you want to take 2 handfuls of your cleavers, okay? It is worth giving them a bash in the mortar and pestle. You don't need to do this, but by giving them a bash first, you break up the structure of the plant, and that means it releases more of its chemical constituents. So when you put it in the jar, you extract more of it, which makes it more powerful. So it's well worth, for the extra minute of effort, it's well worth it. So just pop those. I've already given these a bash to save having to do it in front of you guys. So all you do, just give it, and once you do it, you'll see the moisture coming off on the bottom of the pestle, which is what you want to see, because that's what's breaking it up. So just give it a real gentle bash. Keep turning it so you get all of it. And as you do it, the aroma hits you. You can smell that really kind of bitter compounds that are inherent in these kinds of herbs. Okay, so give it a really good bash. That's your 2 handfuls of cleavers. that goes into your sterilised, and it's absolutely integral that the jar is sterilised. Okay, it needs to be, you can't be any microbes or anything in it. Then you take your nettles. Nettles are weird. I don't know if anyone's tried this, don't hold me accountable, but if you kind of tentatively go up to nettles and try and get around the stings, you get stung all over the place. If you grasp them, they don't seem to sting. And someone told me that years and years ago, a guy I used to forage with, I was like, that's a load of rubbish. But it's not. If you really pick it up and grasp it, it doesn't sting. Okay, so pop those in, give those a bash as well. I haven't bashed these ones ahead of time. And obviously the alcohol destroys the sting. Okay, so you're not going to drink it in 4 weeks' time, you know, and your mouth's not going to be erupted in stings because the alcohol destroys the sting. Okay. So all you do then, take your handful of nettles, pop that in. Okay, and then the reason we're using, I can see loads of comments coming up, but I can't see them because they're too far away. Okay, so once I've done the practical, I'll go over and I'll flick through the comments. Okay, once you've got your 2/3 cleavers, 1/3 nettle, all you need to do is pour over your alcohol. The reason we're using alcohol is for two functions. One is as a preservative. It stops them going off, it stops them rotting, putrefying, it stops bacterial growth. But just as importantly, it's the extractor, okay? Because once you've made the remedy, it's pure liquid, okay? There's no herb in it. So the alcohol in the vodka or the brandy extracts the plant-based chemicals in these herbs that make it medicinal, okay? So if you take that to the lab and you analyze that, it's not vodka, it's the chemical structure of the cleavers and the nettle, or whatever herb you put in there, has transferred from the plant into the alcohol. So that is no longer vodka, that is liquid cleavers and liquid nettle. Okay, so that's the extraction process. The alcohol extracts it and the alcohol preserves it. So take your vodka, pour it all over your herbs. So, and then what you do need to do, you need to give it a good stir. You don't want any air bubbles in there. Make sure your knife is sterilised, so there's no microbes on that. And give it a really, really good stir so that it's all really mixed up. And again, it hits you. The aroma from that, you can instantly tell it's therapeutic, it's medicinal, because you can just smell that. And when you drink it, you can always feel, as you're swallowing it down, it's hard to articulate it, but you can always feel the goodness in it, which is what I love about these kinds of remedies. And the other beauty of this is that you can go online and you can buy cleavers tincture and you can buy nettle tincture and you can combine them, but you don't know if they're agricultural, you don't know if they're commercially farmed herbs. By going out into the wild, going up into these were from the South Downs, up north of Goodwood, you know, no real agriculture up there, beautiful environment. The bioavailability of the herb, of the medicinal properties, the nutrient makeup of wild sourced herbs is so much higher than commercially grown equivalents, without exception. They're wild, they're natural, they're grown in their own environment, energetically they're pure. Okay, so to my mind, homemade remedies will always outperform shop or commercially bought ones, always, without exception. Okay, which is why we always, at home, you know, personally, we always use homemade remedies. So give it a really good stir, like so. And then you need to seal it. Like I said, the lid needs to be airtight, okay? Because you don't want any air getting in there. So seal it, and then for the first, so that needs to be a little bit higher. I need to get another bottle out because that needs to be a little bit higher. You need to fill the vodka all the way to the top, okay? So I need to top that up a little bit. So for the first week, you need to give it a really good shake every day, okay? Not just a kind of but a really good, like give it some welly. Because the more you aggravate it, the more you macerate it, the more extraction there is and the stronger it becomes. Okay, so you want to get really, really, really give it a really good shake, just for, you know, a minute every day. And you want to store it in a dark cupboard. So you leave it in a dark cupboard away from any kind of direct light. okay, and then shake it every day. For a week, every day, shake it for a week, leave it in a dark cupboard. Once you've done that, all you need to do then is every day just invert it. So say today it's like that, the next day you do that, and leave it like that all day. The next day, turn it back over again. And the reason for that is you don't want any of the herbs being above the level of the alcohol for more than a day or two. Because obviously if the herbs are above the alcohol, they're exposed to the air, which means that they can rot. Okay, so by continually inverting it, you're making sure all of the herbs are continually saturated in the alcohol, which makes the tincture stronger and it prevents it going off. And also, as the herbs absorb the alcohol, the level will drop. So what you need to do is usually about the end of it's usually weekly, you need to just open the jar and top it up with more alcohol so that it's all the way up to the top. That's really important, okay? And you need to leave that for a minimum of 3 weeks, ideally 4 weeks, okay? Because that's where the extraction takes place. Imagine we fast forward a month or 3 weeks. All you do then is you strain that. I'm not going to do it because obviously it's going to waste it all, but you just strain that through a muslin cloth or a sieve into a sterilised jar, and then you can compost the leaves or whatever. Strain that out, but once you've got the leaves in the muslin cloth, make sure you give them a really good wring out, because the leaves are going to contain masses of liquid, and that liquid is the strongest liquid. That's the really concentrated herbal medicine. So make sure you wring out every last bit of the wet liquid, and then what you're left with is a pure, very, very concentrated, strong, dark green, bitter kind of vitality tonic. Okay, so that was May last year. We made that one, so it's one of the later ones. I think it might be our last one actually. I'm not sure what we've got left. Always label your medicines. Always. It's so easy, doing it. Just kind of put them in the cupboard, and then you don't know what's what. You don't know when you made it. If you label it, you know what it is and how long it's going to last. Because if those tinctures, as long as you follow the instructions, they've got a shelf life of at least 2 years, closer to 3 years. So if you make it now, that's 3/4 of a litre of vodka. By the time I top it up, it will be pretty much a litre. That will give you about 3/4 of a litre of liquid at the end. That will last you a long time. So if you make 2 of those, that's going to probably be 2 years worth. Okay. So once you've got it, the dose would be about 5 mils, 1 teaspoon, 2 to 3 times a day, just for 4 to 6 weeks. That's it. So from kind of, March, April, May, just to really help speed up that process, just 1 teaspoon a couple of times a day. That's going to give you all of the benefits. It's going to flood your body with just an abundance of vitamins and minerals that are really hard to get from food, particularly your zincs, your potassiums, and all of the compounds that are working on our lymphatics, our digestion, our liver, our kidneys, our blood, to really ramp up our energy and our vitality. Okay, so I can't recommend this enough. Like I say, if you've signed up for the email updates, you'll get the written instructions for everything we've spoken about through to your email. And actually, we're also super excited to announce that our full course, we've got a course called Foraging Health, which is a full online course. It gives you, dozens and dozens and dozens of really detailed herb profiles. It gives you over 50 remedies and recipe instructions. It gives you full herb identification, foraging guides. We've currently got that on offer. It's usually £109. It's currently at 50% off for 10 days, at only £50, a bit more than 50% off. So it's the full online course for how to forage for herbal medicines and how to make herbal medicines. But the big thing about it, which is why we're so keen on it, is that it's not just a buy and forget about it course. If you buy the course, you get free access to our monthly online herbal tutor sessions, and that's a really big thing for me, because what you don't want is if you start getting involved in herbal medicines and foraging, it's a continual learning journey. You want to be able to ask questions, you want to be able to check things out, you want advice. And these monthly sessions are a way of having live interactive sessions, and when we cover we cover foraging, we cover herbal medicines, and we cover an ailment plan. So it's a 2-hour online session. It's one session a month, every month on a rolling basis, and they're completely free for those who who sign up for the Foraging Health online course. So you've got that monthly learning, that monthly interaction. So you're building up your skill set, you're building up your resources. And actually, by sheer coincidence, the March one is tonight. So tonight we're covering passion flower as a medicinal herb. We're looking at the management of pain, and we're talking about willow bark in a lot more detail, how to forage it, how to dry it, how to make medicines out of it. So that's worth over £120. That 12-month access is worth over £120. So you get that all completely free. So the Foraging Health course currently 50% off, £50. If you head over to the website, you can sign up for that. It's like this, but you know, tenfold more information. So if you've got any questions about that, do let us know. But other than that, tomorrow we will be exploring birch, silver birch, something that again has been used as a medicine, particularly by the North American Indians. You know, they pioneered the use of silver birch, and silver birch leaves are brilliant, but birch twigs, something called birch twig elixir, which is one of the most revered North American tonic herbs. It's just got so many benefits, and we're going to go through how to make birch twig elixir tomorrow. So that will be back at 12:30 tomorrow. But beautiful, I think most of Britain is going for this beautiful hot weather. Get outside today, get some cleavers, get some nettle, just buy your vodka, make that, and it's done. And then in a couple of weeks' time, it's ready to use. And if you use it, you're going to get the benefits. And if you get the benefits, you're going to feel a lot more energized, a lot more vitalized. Okay, so I love this tonic. So I'm just going to head over to the screen, make sure there's no questions, and then we can crack on. Alrighty. Yeah, so it's a good question. If you can't have alcohol, there is an alternative. You need to buy something called vegetable glycerin, okay, which is obviously a glycerin-based vegetable product, which it replaces the tincture, the alcohol. So you can get that really easily from online or from a health food shop. So yeah, Holly, yeah, wash them first. We always give the herbs a wash first. Very, very good point. Might use your marigolds. Yeah, use your marigolds if you're worried about getting stung. Yeah, if you want to make a smaller batch, you can make a smaller batch. You might only use 50 milliliters. You don't need to make a massive batch. Yeah, the herbal tuna session is tonight. Kit, thank you. Great. Well, have a lovely day, everyone. Enjoy the sun. Get out there, get your cleavers, get your nettle, make this tonic, and if you make it, use it. I can't recommend it enough. It is so discernible, the impact it has on our body. So stay safe, everyone, and I'll see you back tomorrow at 12:30 to talk about birch.